I'm Charlotte McLeod with the Investing News Network, and here today with me is Lisa McDonald, Executive Director at PDAC. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, well, really, I should thank you for having me here. It's always great to come to PDAC, and we're sitting here on the afternoon of the first day of the conference. I've been sitting here for most of the day, so I wondered if you could give me a sense of, sentiment, what's going on the floor.
Sure, absolutely. So it's the first day of our first in-person event in 2 years and 3 months. So obviously there's been a lot of anticipation for this day to come and for us to be able to welcome everyone back to PDAC in person. So there's definitely a lot of excitement. I think people are just really thrilled to be here. People are excited about the weather here in Toronto in June, which is a little bit different than what folks are used to. And I think some folks may have noticed that it's been very, very busy here today, especially in our registration area. So there's just a lot of, I think, pent-up excitement for this event to be here and to come together.
Yeah, definitely. I have to say I do like this June PDAC a little bit more than the March version. And it does seem really busy. We've been watching, up there we can see all the crowds of people. Can you give me any preliminary look at what the attendance is coming out to be?
Sure. So we never release official numbers before the show ends, so we will be doing that on Wednesday, but we certainly do track the trends coming into it. And when we look at things like our sold out exhibits in both the trade show and the investors exchange, as well as the demand for hotel space and all of those sorts of things here in the city, those are indicators for us about attendance, and those have all been really, really positive. It's always hard to predict the attendance for PDAC. Typically, we will see somewhere between 40 and 60% of our attendees just show up on site. So we never quite have any idea what that number is going to look like. But all of the indicators are good tracking into this. And I think for our first foray out in post-pandemic, they're going to be really positive numbers for us.
Yeah, and anecdotally, I have heard some people having difficulties with their hotel situation, so that is definitely true. I want to talk about, I know we're all eager to put COVID behind us, but as you mentioned, it is, coming back from last year where you were online only. This year is in person. There's also an online component in a couple of weeks. Can you talk about some of the challenges in managing this transition, but also the opportunities there?
Absolutely. So without a doubt, it has been incredibly challenging to navigate for the last couple of years for all events. I mean, this is not unique to PDAC. Events across the board have been impacted this way, but we have an incredible convention team that works for us, and they are professional meeting planners who do an outstanding job and, really paying attention to what's happening, tracking, sort of the trends and how COVID has been navigated from an event perspective for 2 years has been a daily occurrence for our team. And of course, the health and safety of our participants is always our first priority. And so, we flipped to online last year, which was very successful. It's a great way to deliver content. And we were really pleased with that. But it really, it doesn't mirror the in-person experience in terms of the sort of the networking and the business development. But we really found that the delivery of content was outstanding in the online. And in fact, we had more eyeballs on the content that we were providing in virtual than we do sometimes in person, because there are just less distractions around and those sorts of things. So we'll definitely be continuing to look at how we can incorporate that into our events going forward so that we can ensure that content gets out there that people want to hear and they're interested in hearing it. So the beauty is having that on-demand option, especially coming up in a couple of weeks for our online for this year. Some of the stuff that folks may have missed out on when they're here because they're busy meeting and doing business and seeing folks that they haven't seen in quite some time, or maybe standing in a line to get in, well, that content can be delivered to them in a couple of weeks. So it's really great from that standpoint. And we're going to continue to look at how that can be a part of the event going forward effectively.
Yes, I do. I love the option to be able to go back and look at things that you missed. So that's great for me. I want to, as we're talking about all the things that are going on, just check in with you about the themes that are being highlighted this year. I think one thing that we all know is there's kind of something for everybody, but are there any themes that are coming to the fore?
Sure. I think critical minerals is a topic that is of great interest to everyone. It's certainly something that has come on strong in the last couple of years, and with the historic level of investment that the federal government has committed to, $3.8 billion in the most recent budget, I think that everyone is really embracing and understanding the generational opportunity that this presents for Canada. So that's definitely a conversation that I think we're going to be hearing a lot about, and it is reflected in our programming. And ESG, that's another topic that is of critical importance to the sector. And, it's one that as a sector, I think, we're actually ahead of others in terms of embracing what ESG means and how important it is. Diversity and inclusion is, another topic that's a strategic priority for PDAC. And then as well, of course, our sustainability program, our Indigenous program. These really are important topics that I think a lot of people are interested in, and that's, the evidence is here by the number of folks that are here and that are participating in the events that center around those topics.
Yes, definitely. So from what I understand, you've been working at PDAC in various capacities for more than 20 years. So I wanted to ask you the changes you've seen in that time, because I'm sure there must be lots of developments.
Absolutely. So for PDAC as an organization, because I think what some people don't recognize often, especially here at this event, is that this event is just one element of what PDAC does as an organization. The other 360 days of the year, we're an advocacy group that lobbies on behalf of the sector to the Canadian government, as well as developing tools and guidance for our members to, improve their performance and those sorts of things. So when I started at PDAC, there were 7 of us as in terms of, staff, and now we're over 25 full-time staff. So we've grown as an organization, a lot of it due to the success of this event. It is our hallmark event. And this event has evolved. 1997 was the first year that it was held here in the Metro Toronto Convention Centre. Prior to that, all of it was over at the Royal York Hotel. So it was bursting at the seams, and we moved here in 1997 in the North Building only. And then we were bursting at the seams up there, so we moved it down here to the South Building, and then we were bursting at the seams in just the South, and pre-pandemic had expanded back up there again, and we're occupying the whole space. So it certainly has grown, and it's one of the, I think, most important parts of this is the international participation here. So this is Canada's event. It puts Canada on the map, but we welcome people here from over 120 different countries around the world. And that has really grown and changed in the past 25 years. And it's really added to, I think, the depth of content, of participants, of those that come together to do business here. That has been a really important change for us. And then, when we talk about diversity and inclusion, and we talk about, the faces that we see here, back in 1997, I would say you didn't see as much diverse. I mean, obviously not. Come on, let's be real about that. And we've certainly come a long way in that. When you look around the floor here, the absolute diversity of the folks here is incredible.
Okay, that's all great to hear. That's really interesting for me. We're going to wrap up with, I hope, a fun question, which is what keeps you excited about Canada's resource sector?
Oh my gosh, it's the people. I'm not a geologist, whereas most of the folks here, or a lot of the folks here, are geologists or engineers. I'm not, and so I think when people think about this sector, they think about rocks, and when I think about this sector, I think about the people, and it's a wonderful industry to be in, incredible people, and that's what keeps me here.
That's great. That's all for me. Is there any final words that you would add for attendees, for the audience about PDAC?
I just want to reiterate how excited and thrilled we are to be able to welcome folks back here. And, a lot of people have been asking, when is it going to be next year? And there is some signage around here that clarifies that, but we will be moving back to our traditional March dates for next year. So we're really looking forward to seeing everyone again in about 8 months.
Okay, that's great. So we should enjoy our time in the sun for now.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Enjoy your time in the sun.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Great to speak to you. Thank you for being here.
Thanks so much.
Okay, and once again, I'm Charlotte McLeod with the Investing News Network, and this is Lisa McDonald with PDAC.